NIO will publish their fourth quarter financial results around end of March. What will they possibly look like? That's what we are gonna look at in today's video. In Q4 2022, NIO delivered a total of 40,052 vehicles, representing an increase by 26.7% from the third quarter of 2022. The way I calculated my forecast is by taking the base price of the model and multiply it with the sold units of each model from Q4. Since most of the NIO users are using battery as a service, I did my calculations with the base sales price for each model, so I should end up with an earnings forecast lower than the actual earnings. I did calculate an average price for the NT 1.0 vehicles, since NIO only published the combined number. By the past market shares, I gave the ES8 a weight of 16.7%, the EC6 33.3%, and the ES6 50% of the total NT 1.0 vehicle deliveries. To verify the accuracy of the calculation process, I did calculate the vehicle sales price of the third quarter of 2022 with the same method to see how close the calculated number would get to the actual reported revenue. My calculation was 6.94% lower in renminbi and 8.08% lower in US dollars. The variation in percentage is caused by the difference in the renminbi to US dollars rate, because I don't know the rates of the specific dates where NIO wrote down their financial results. For the third quarter of 2022, I used a rate of around 0.14 renminbi per US dollars, and for the fourth quarter I used a rate of around 0.148 renminbi per US dollars, which represents the current rate. With this calculation process, I ended up with a vehicle sales revenue for Q4 2022 of 13.633 billion renminbi or 2.012 billion US dollars. If I now add the 8% deviation I had from the calculation of the previous quarter, vehicle sales revenue would be at 2.174 billion US dollars. This would represent an increase of around 30% from the previous quarter. This is of course based on the same margins from Q3. Last quarter, other sales revenue was at 150 million US dollars. I will go with the 100 million US dollars other sales revenue for the base price revenue of 2.012 billion US dollars and 150 million US dollars for the adjusted price revenues of 2.174 billion US dollars. So my forecast is that NIO will have a total revenue of 2.11 to 2.32 billion US dollars for the fourth quarter of 2022. With the forecast of the fourth quarter results, NIO would have a total revenue for the whole year 2022 of 7.04 billion US dollars, which would be an increase of 24.1% to the revenue of the year 2021. With this, we already reached the end of today's video, and I wish you guys a nice day.